Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thanks once again for joining me. I'm your host, Derek Lane. Another edition, Fascinating Podcast for Success. Once again, thank you. I appreciate your listenership. Hey, let's dive into a little bit of happiness, a little bit of purpose, a little bit of your right as a person, as a human being. See, I'm a big believer that we all have the right to be happy, regardless of our circumstance, regardless of our social backgrounds, of our religious beliefs, whatever it is. We all have a right to be happy in that pursuit of happiness. Gosh, I've heard that somewhere. Anyway, so how do we do it? And why are we so miserable all the time? Or some of us are. And that's the situations that we put ourselves in. Sometimes when we have goals and dreams and we strive for things, we put so much pressure on ourselves to achieve. We put so much pressure to have the ability just to be happy. That in and of itself is a little bit crazy. It's a little bit insane. But our will to be happy, that's not. That's what we should be doing. So what is it that makes you happy? I think you have to define that. You have to understand what drives your happiness. And I think that will also include what drives your purpose. What is it that you want out of life? What is it that you're going to give back to humanity? Because sometimes happiness is not what we get, but it's what we give. Sometimes we can look so hard into obtaining things that we forget to give back. Because nature is not capricious. It simply is. There's a flow to nature. There's a flow to all things. And once you learn to give back, it's easier to receive. And that includes happiness. We all have moments in our life when things don't go right. We all have moments in our life when things aren't as they should be. And that's called life. We deal with it. And it's been said over and over, and I agree, that it's not what happens to you that defines you. It's how you react to the things that happen to you that define you. It's the ability to do things and to do it with a little bit of fear. If you're living life and you're trying to live it without, experiencing any fear, if you're just totally just wrapped up in your comfort zone, you're going to be doing the same thing over and over and over. You're never going to step outside of that comfort zone to experience a little bit of fear. Something's a little frightful. And to overcome that, to overcome those fearful things, whether they're real or imaginary, you've got to understand what they are, face them, move forward. And once you do, voila, you discover happiness. I believe there's a time in everyone's life when they're faced with challenges, and those are critical times that you have to determine whether you're going to become the turtle and retreat back in the shell, or you're going to be the warrior, move forward, accept the challenge, win or lose, lay it all out there, be gutsy. That's what it takes in this world. It takes being gutsy, challenging yourself, challenging others around you, to do the right thing, to be somewhat experimental. It's totally up to you. It's totally up to you. Some of the simplest things in life brings us pleasure. I'm not sure that 70-inch television screen just totally makes me happy all the time. I'm not sure that BMW totally makes me happy all the time. What I am sure about is the relationships in my life, my family. They make me happy all the time. A satisfying career, one that challenges me, one that gets my brain popping and going, creativity, thoughts, the ability to look forward to new ideas, the ability to look forward to new challenges. That makes me happy all the time. So happiness, no matter where you are, no matter what country, no matter what social economic structure you've got, it is a choice. It is a choice. If you haven't read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, I implore you to. I'm not going to bore you too much with the details of it, but it's just a highly recommended book. I think it will change my. But happiness is paramount to our success, paramount for us to move forward, to live our life. As we get older, and we all are getting older, it's when you come to terms with who you are, the understanding of you, that you can begin to see happiness in everything, not just the momentary pleasures, but when you start to see happiness and purpose in everything, and even the bad things, you start to wonder, are they really bad, or did this happen for a reason? It's a bigger picture here, a greater scheme to things. I don't believe there's coincidences. I don't believe that things just randomly happen. I don't believe we're destined for our fate either. Free will plays a part of it, but it's your mindset. Your mindset makes things happen, positive or negative. So that's why I think this episode is so strongly encouraging you to determine that you need to be happy or find happiness in it. You know, the bill collectors, they come and go. The mindset, practice your law of attraction. The relationships, if it's toxic, you may want to question whether it's the right relationship. Whatever it is in your life that just doesn't feel right, change it. And once again, as I do on just about every podcast, I tell you to put it on paper, pen and paper, pencil and paper. Write it down. Keep your journal. Keep your log. The things that you need to do, the ideas that you've had during the week, the ideas that you've had that you've jotted down over the course of a month. Go back and revisit those things. See what's applicable and what's not applicable at this moment. Sometimes it's a fun exercise, so you can say, wow, I know I wrote that down 3 months ago, and now I see the importance or the relevance of it. It makes sense now. Trust me, it will happen. It will happen. But you've got to make sure that your hand is the conductor to the paper, holding the pen from your brain, so you can see it outside of your. That way, your eyes more deeply embed the subconscious of your desired goals by being able to see what you physically wrote. I hope that makes sense and that's not too far outside of any kind of weirdness or whatever. But it truly works, and that's why, again, on almost every podcast, you don't necessarily need to type it, write it, physically write. Yeah, you can clean up your journal if you like with typing it and putting it in the computer. That's fine. That's fine. But anyway, moving on. Happiness is what some people consider for other people, not for them. That is false. Happiness is for everyone. You weren't put on this earth to be miserable. You were put on this earth to be happy. You were put on this earth to be productive. You were put on this earth to generalize. I still probably mess that up. Anyway, from one generation to the other, you are part of a generation of here and now. Make the most of it. Learn from the older generation. Teach the younger generation. That's what we do. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Look at the value of everything in your life right now. Be grateful. Be blessed. Pursue knowledge. Pursue knowledge with just an unstoppable mindset. And it's when you discover that the more you know, the less you understand, you know you're on the right track. But you keep searching. And the key to this is the whole time is to learn to be happy. Don't be upset you don't know something. Don't be upset you don't have something. Don't be upset that someone's doing better than you. That doesn't matter, because you are the only keeper of your mind. No one else. You are the only person that controls you. No one else. So control your happiness. Decide that happiness is your calling. Okay, this is kind of a short bonus episode for the midweek, and I appreciate you listening to me and the podcast, and continue to send me questions. Derek at FastlanePodcast.com. Derek at FastlanePodcast.com. And thanks for your listenership. Like and share with people that you know that could get some benefit from it, because we're all striving to be positive human beings, and sharing a positive message is one way to do that. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm your host, Derek Lane, and have a good midweek, and we will see you at the beginning of next week.